Greetings, today is a good day, for I have completed something that's been bugging me for a long time. So now that's complete, I've decided to reward myself with a teardown of something, and this is the candidate. It's a HP camera. Well, someone's already started the teardown for me, but yeah, I'm looking to take this apart, see what's inside, and salvage the optics and possibly, hopefully, the flash circuitry. So I've got the tools for this section here, and we can begin. By the way, if you are interested, it's a Q229A model. I've tried powering it up, and it doesn't give any signs of life. Someone's gone medieval with it. It's missing buttons, and yeah, it's probably been wet as well. The battery's missing. This here is for shielding, so this is a conductive tape. At least I think it is conductive. Let's have a look. Okay, let's use this no-name meter on a 2 meg range because I don't know what to expect. Let's see. Not so conductive, turns out. But perhaps I'm doing this wrong, as I have in the past. No, that was just me touching the metal, so okay, never mind. It turns out it's not conductive. Oh, actually I know what it might be. I think it is conductive, but I think it's laminated in between there. If you stack conductive something right on the circuitry, it would cause a lot of shorts, and you would make this whole thing not to work. So probably it is conductive, but just most likely it's just laminated in between a couple of bits of plastic. Never mind, everyone makes mistakes. So yeah, let's continue this section. Something's giving. There we go. And it's split. So on the back we've got a huge SD card slot and a connector to the LCD and the LCD itself. Actually, let's continue with this. I see something interesting. What is this? It's marked SW10, but immediately from looking at it I have no idea what it is. Of course, I'm not too worried about anything working or not working, because this is a one-way and this thing was broken already, so can't screw it up anymore. What is this? It looks like it has a little bit of Kapton on it. What is that? 4 pins. All those tiny switches mounted on the surface, but hold on, let's have a closer look. There we go. So yeah, a mystery component. I have got no idea what is this? And I think I might have to get medieval with it to find out what's inside. There's no obvious markings on it. Let's try to peel that captain off, see if it comes off. Yeah, the captain tape does come off, but that doesn't reveal anything apart from just a plastic structure. Okay, anyways, let's move on. We'll get back to this. And they just put a spring on the switch. Let's take the LCD out. Even LCD might have something to salvage from. There we go, the LCD permanently attached flat flex. Separate clamp, and that's the LCD. I was wondering, those two tracks are backlight, by the way, and backlight is on a separate flex, and it's just bonded onto the main flex over here. So you can see it goes above or underneath the actual LCD. I was wondering if there is a way, and I'm sure there is, to drive those from something like Arduino or Raspberry Pi or something, or any other electronics. But if there is a way, it doesn't make sense, because most of the time it's just a lot. There's so much hassle involved in this that probably it's just easier to use a off-the-shelf already ready-made screen module that someone has already provided libraries, and you've got some documentation with this. You're kind of working blind. I'm sure there is a specific protocol to it, and after a little bit of messing about you'd get it to work, but as I said, not always worth the hassle. Oh, we've got a different kind of tape over here. This one's very thin. Oh, this is the cap for the high voltage, so gotta be careful around that. Okay, we've got a date code on the board, 0429 29th week of 2004, so it is not the latest technology camera. That's interesting, look at this. So from here, which appears to be power, because there's quite thick tracks, and yeah, I think that comes from battery contacts, because it goes back there. They've got this, what looks like, I think that's an inductor. I don't think that's a resistor. And that's glued onto, or soldered onto this copper slab. copper tape that was stuck onto here. I wonder what's the purpose of that. Oh, there's 2 caps. Even better. Go and make sure we discharge those. Ah, they're gone. I think there is more to it, because most likely on the back of there is another board underneath, and most likely that's the board for the sensor. So we probably have to attack it from the front first. But even that is not being too straightforward, because there is just so many pieces of tape and you know, when something is designed to be so small and compact, it will be a pain in the neck to get it disassembled, simply because when it's so packed, usually it's a one-way build. Yeah, you kind of burn bridges as you put the thing together. Yeah, and that's the power connector. So it goes from the power connector, 3.3 volt or USB, and presume that this side of the cap is ground, and they've got this. I am not entirely sure why is that even there. Okay, that's each individual pin for the batteries screwed in with an individual screw, and it's got a nice little lug attached to it, which is nice. I like the way they've done it. Anyways, let's take them all out, just to see how many screws we can take out of it. Oh, what's that? Oh, I found the lens control. There is a tiny knob here, and there will be a motor inside, so that's the zoom and on off motion. That just goes to the switches, and there we go. So we've got some memory, some processor, 27 MHz crystal, and a backup battery. Okay, this is the first lens that might be interesting, and there's a prism in there, even more fun. This, I think, is just a shock mount for the speaker arrangement, and I can see more screws. I'm wondering, is this machine assembled, or is it assembled on like an assembly line, and you've got 1,000 people along a conveyor belt, and each one of them puts in one screw and passes the item on. I'd be surprised if there was a process that assembles this automatically. I don't see that happening, to be honest. It's just too complex. There is too many small bits, and and there's tape all over the place. I'd rather take this apart the nice way rather than pulling it apart forcibly. Oh, they've even got a little thermist, a tiny little cute one. And where's that been? Interesting. I'm not sure what they'd measure the temperature for. Maybe something to do with the image sensor. Okay, and this is finally coming together, or rather apart. Oops, how did that come off? Oh, bastard. So I have messed this one up. So I killed the ignition transformer, the ignition coil. Not to worry, that can be easily made. You can make a crude one out of just a nail, and you put it in a screwdriver and just wind a lot of wire on it, and that should do it. But technically any old transformer, if you just rewind it a little bit, should do. Okay, and this is so the way the xenon flash works. You've got high voltage connected to the two electrodes, and there's a tube filled with xenon gas, and it will not conduct unless you provide a spark along the line. Sometimes you can see a little piece of wire wound up around the flash itself, flash tube, and when you just hit it with a spark, really high voltage, that ionizes the gas inside, and it just starts conducting, produces a flash, discharges inside the lamp. And what they've done here, it's the actual reflective mirror is metal. It's a piece of aluminium, I guess, and it's got the transformer wire hooked onto it, so that provides enough electric field to ionize the gas or something, however it does it. This board's sole purpose was to convert the flat flex to make it into a connector for the dock. Oh, I think that's the shutter switch. Yeah. So it's a double switch, so it's got that first click, and when you press it harder, it's got the second click. Nice little small surface mount. Anyways, I saw more screws over here, so let's take them all out. First of all, maybe let's unsolder this before I mess about any more connections on here. I'll probably desolder the caps while the iron is heating up. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. So this connection here is not a well, it's a flat flex connector, but it's actually been sandwiched into the PCB itself. So then obviously it's a multi-layer PCB, and one of the inner layers is made out of this material, which way they just left it exposed. So we've got two boards permanently connected by this flexible piece of inner layer. And yeah, that's clever. So then basically if they just omit the top and bottom layer on those boards, when they sandwich them together, they can just then cut it out and they're ready-made connected, and it's probably really reliable and easy for manufacture. Okay, so the flash tube, that's to be saved. That's how they come off. And they've been glued in place at the bottom. It doesn't even say what capacity those are. And they're just wrapped in Kapton tape, and I'm gonna assume that they're the right size for this flash. There we go. So that's to be saved, and we're getting into, yeah, this is a separate module, so this should come out somehow. Clip. Okay, here's the interesting bits. So we've got a mirror, a prism, a really fancy prism, and wow, like 3 more lenses in there. Okay, so just to show you, when you look through, oh come on, that this doesn't want to go back in now. When you look through the viewfinder, which is here, when you look through this, the way your view path is actually from here, it hits the mirror on the back over here, and then it goes in through this little aperture into the prism, bounces off this way, that goes back down and shoots out forward, goes through those 3 lenses and through this one. This is the 4th one. So right, quite a bit to it. I think what this does, when you zoom in, it also changes the zooms in the picture in the viewfinder, so you can know what you're shooting. Right, on with this section. This is just a little screw, not a contact. This simply ejects the battery when you push this little lever down. Okay, this is the whole gear assembly, which is also an interesting mechanical part. There's quite a few gears in there. They've gone to some trouble to get this working. I'm quite sure this should come off now. This is the sensor, most likely. Okay, I've worked out that this is actually two pieces. You can see the battery compartment. This side is rattling away, so there we go, this unclips. And we end up with yet smaller piece. Oh dear. I didn't necessarily want it to do that, but I think that's the only way to get at this. Okay, this moves forward and back, and this is how it extends the whole viewfinder. A little bit forcing this out. No, I don't want to do that. I need to work out the proper way of disassembling this. Okay, that's just an opto interrupter to detect when the shutters, when the lens is open or closed. There are plenty of those in every printer. If you take one apart, there's about 20 or 30 of those, even more in a VHS, VCR thingy-majig, but I'm getting a little bit upset right now. Here you can see, when you zoom in and out, you can see the lens riding in the viewfinder. So that's what's making it zoom in and out inside the viewfinder. And I'm still not sure how to open this any further. I can see that possibly this little ring around here will come off, and it does. Okay, I'm sure we don't need that. I'm not sure where did that go. But this doesn't help much. Probably my next point of attack will be with a soldering iron, so while that's warming up, let me get a vise. Okay, I'm not even going to try to wig this out, because with so many layers it's probably impossible. But what I think I stand a chance is just applying lots of solder onto it, just flooding all the pads and basically heating them up this way all at once. There we go. So yes, that's how it's meant to be done. That's how they assemble it. Okay, mystery solved. Now we've got more screws. So this board has got some chip 24 MHz crystal and some caps, and that's about it. So, and another chip on the back, so that probably just processes the, not processes, but just takes the image data from the sensor and sends it on to its way to the main processor, which is probably this thing, just because it's biggest. So what to take off? Actually, let's take the sensor out. Wow, this is beautiful. This is a sexy little sensor. You can see the slight color changes in the sensor. That's the coating on the lens, probably infrared. And yeah, the whole thing is sandwiched onto this. I'll probably have a closer look at this later on, maybe with a microscope. Oh, now this comes off nicely. So this is the viewfinder, and just by spreading those apart we get different zoom ratios. Hold on, where was that? Here. There's just this curve, that one on the inside, one on the outside, and that's been precisely casted to just to make sure that this whole thing moves precisely forward and back, so it keeps the image in focus, but yeah, changes the zoom. Nice little setup. What is this? Is that a servo? I think it is. I think we've got a tiny little servo motor. Yep, or a stepper. I think it's more likely a tiny little stepper. That's probably one of the smallest I've ever seen. And what that does, I think that's gotta be focused, because you'd need such precision only with focus, not the zoom, because zoom is very coarse. Nice touch. There is a little bit of flex going in, probably to the shutter control, and it allows for some movement, but it's been coated with matte black coating on the inside, not to make any reflections inside the lens. Okay, here is the first lens. Okay, Anyways, I'm not gonna make much out of looking at this. Let's get on with removing the screws. So this is what moves the whole lens. This little gear was riding on this gear, which was in here. This whole thing is still spring loaded, so oh no, it's not, it's just gravity pulling it in, and it separates a little bit further than it used to. Okay, turns out I was just turning this back and forth, and through this maze of channels, because there is a way to basically screw this in, I've managed to release this from the rest of the mechanism. It's amazing how many grooves are there just to keep the movement, but at the same time those grooves provide entry point where you can screw the lens in. It goes over a high point, and then it's in the range where it's operating. So we've got two moving parts right now. And still the shutter is still there, so I need to remove the shutter. I'm wondering if I could, how many volts will it take? Okay, so I've soldered up a couple of wires, or 4 wires, into the place of the pads on the flex that goes inside there. There's four wires going in, and I've measured them up, and 2 inner ones appear to be a dead short, and 2 outer ones appear to be a dead short, but there is no connection in between the two. So this could be, well, I'm hoping it's not another servo in there, but anyways, let's see if I can just make a temporary stand for this. And I've got 2 button cell batteries. This should do as a power source. I think it should work on that amount of voltage. Okay, this is not doing anything. Let's try the other pair. Ah, there we go. I think I've opened it up now. And now it's shut. Okay, on with taking this apart. I thought I'll try to connect something to the shutter, but yeah, I think I'm running out of time for messing about in here. So I'm going to finish taking this apart as much as I can and tidy up. So right. Okay, this comes off, that's just on little tabs. And we have our first lens. Yeah, there we go. That came out. So little springy things. 1, 2, and 3. And here is a lens assembly with more springy things. No, that comes apart. Okay, so that's interesting keep, and this is the shutter. Okay, so I've just put a piece of masking tape underneath so it's brighter and you can see it. There we go. Super quick. Okay, I'll keep that. And presumably this should slide out too. Okay, this doesn't want to come out willingly, so yeah, I think the front cap has to come off, and that's been glued in. So okay, the last bit, and there's another shutter in here which I don't think it works, or anymore at least. Well, it definitely doesn't work now. I think it's supposed to, there we go, when it comes to a full stop there was something pulling it and that would have shut, but I'm not interested in that. And another lens. Okay, I'll have some fun with that later. Yeah, I think that's it for this one. I've got to tidy this up, possibly take the motor out somehow. There we go. This should be final piece. Oh, there's even more gears in there. Quite a lot of gears in this whole thing, actually. A few lenses, a nice sensor, a tiny stepper, normal motor, a microphone, maybe the speaker is worth keeping, the LCD to take it further apart, and the flash and the caps, obviously. And a whole bunch of screws, and I think that's all. The rest of it goes to the bin. If you enjoyed watching this, please feel free to click like or subscribe for more random videos, but this one it's come to an end. Anyways, take care.